Today we're going to talk about unusual vaginal odors, smelly discharge, foul odors coming from down there. Today in my Lady Bits Wellness Tips series, I'm going to share with you some clinical resources to help you have your most floral, natural, clean scent down in your Lady Bits. We're going to dig into smells, odors, and how to have the best, cleanest pH and freshness in your Lady Bits. Let's go, ladies. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Melissa Gallagher. I'm a naturopathic physician with over 15 years of supporting women in healthy vaginal odor and scents and feminine hygiene. I'm going to share with you some resources today. If you've been searching or embarrassingly wondering how to resolve some of the unfavorable odors, or you're looking to reduce any type of foul scent or even discharge that you're experiencing that might be troubling you. Today, I'm going to dig into an assortment of resources for you to help heal and balance your body's natural vaginal microbiome. That is a fancy term for your bacterial levels in your vaginal canal. And we're also going to help balance and recalibrate your vaginal pH. That is a particular balance between acidity and base levels. It needs to be the right type of pH for us to have healthy, odor-free environment down in our Lady Bits. And I'm also going to share with you some things you can do at home on the daily to support your feminine hygiene and improve any odor imbalances. So let's get started, ladies. Number one of the most common things I see with women in my clinical practice is that from a hygiene perspective, they're almost cleaning too much. And I know that probably sounds crazy, like how is that even possible? But depending on your soap, depending on the harshness of the water that you're either bathing in or showering in, as well as your kind of general sensitivity to harsh fragrances and chemicals in soaps, that can lead to an imbalance in your pH, which usually leads to odors and changes in your vaginal smell. Now, what happens when we clean too much is we will find that some women are cleaning the actual vaginal mucosal tissue, and that's very easy to do when we're cleaning, and that is something you want to avoid. We naturally have a cleaning process, and whether you like it or not, discharge is part of the cleaning process. It's when things start to change odor-wise, color, or consistency that now we're looking at either bacterial infections, maybe even viral infections, or changes to the vaginal microbiome that then alter your pH. And you can have one of those or all of those kind of happening at the same time. And it really kind of depends on your body's natural biochemistry. So soaps that I recommend are fragrance-free. They're going to be dye-free. They're going to be free of really harsh chemicals. My favorite soaps from a vaginal cleaning perspective are going to be Castile soaps. My favorite is Dr. Bronner's. My other favorite is going to be a colloidal silver soap, especially if there's a recurrent kind of bacterial vaginosis. Colloidal silver is very clean, good pH-wise, and can eradicate bacterial imbalances and microorganisms that might be plaguing the vaginal canal. So apart from hygiene, the second thing that I recommend is to do what we call an apple cider vinegar SITZ bath. And basically what that means is you're going to fill up your bathtub by about that much. So it's maybe half a foot, if that, with about a cup or 2 cups of apple cider vinegar and really good warm water. Not too hot, because you're going to be soaking the lower part of your torso. So you literally are just covering enough to cover the whole entire Lady Bit lower pelvic region. Soaking in a very pH balancing, antimicrobial, antibacterial SITZ bath, which is literally like you're sitting in it, and it's a little bit of a bath. It's not a really relaxing, like, oh, I'm soaking in the bathtub. It is purposeful in terms of the pH balancing and the bacteria eradication. This SITZ bath with apple cider vinegar will recalibrate the vaginal microbiota. That's what we need. That tends to be where we see a lot of changes to odor. Now, a very large and often under-addressed imbalance within our bodies are going to be hormonal imbalances, particularly decreases or reductions in estrogen. So when we have lower estrogen levels, we will notice a synonymous situation where low estrogen will then yield a little bit of an elevation in vaginal odor. Now, we see this if you are cycling, if you are menstrual cycling and you're either pre-menopause or maybe early phases of menopause and you're still having a menstrual cycle. Even my teen patients will experience this. One of the things that we notice is the latter phase, the luteal phase, the phase after ovulation. That's where we see decreases in estrogen. That tends to be the time of the month when women experience and complain about changes to their vaginal odor. And so sometimes just the natural calibration and the balance of estrogen, you're going to be higher with estrogen up until the point that you ovulate. And then if you haven't become pregnant, then it dips and progesterone goes up. If that ratio or the degree of estrogen drops too low, or there's that imbalance between progesterone and estrogen, then that is an underlying source of vaginal odor. And no amount of hygiene or suppositories that I'm going to talk about next will resolve this. And this is really important because there's a lot of folks here on YouTube parlaying nonsensical information that is not going to help you. Now, my fourth tip and recommendation for you ladies is to look at adding suppositories into your regimen. And there's two that can be extremely helpful. They can be helpful individually or they can be helpful together. So I'm going to explain what they are, how to use them, and when you might want to use these. All right, the first thing is a very basic tea tree oil suppository. And this is a suppository, it gets inserted vaginally. Tea tree is very antiseptic, antimicrobial, antibiotic. It is very healing and pro-pH balancing of the vaginal canal. It's not uncommon for there to be yeast or bacterial imbalance that leads to odors or intolerable fragrances. And the other thing I do want to mention is that we tend to be way more cognizant of the odor than anybody else. But regardless, tea tree oil suppositories, when inserted at night, can be very beneficial, especially during those times where you maybe are having your estrogen decreasing in your luteal phase, or maybe you're going through perimenopause or menopause. This is a great resource to help keep things balanced. And we have to be actively engaged in our feminine hygiene. So boric acid is the other suppository that I recommend. I've actually highlighted that in one of our Lady Bits Wellness Tips videos, and there'll be a playlist if you're interested in learning more about additional videos for feminine hygiene and feminine wellness. These suppositories get inserted. So it's a little capsule that easily melts with our body heat and releases boric acid into the vaginal canal. Boric acid has been clinically researched, highly beneficial. I'll recommend that video, link down below to learn more. But boric acid and tea tree oil, you can use these in conjunction. I recommend having a boric acid suppository in the morning. It's less messy, to be honest with you. Where the tea tree oil, you definitely want to make sure you have a pad in place. Pad in place for both, but the oil can get messy. It's better to use the oil when you're sleeping. But these can be used also if you notice that odor changes after sexual intercourse, which is very common and is another kind of change pH-wise that needs to be recalibrated by suppositories. Ladies, I want to speak specifically to your pH. You can actually take pH tests. There are test strips, I'll link down below, some great ones that you can use. If you're dealing with frequent discharge, odor, smelliness, frustrating fragrances or odors that are just really annoying to you or foul and you're descriptive of it, then it's really important for you to look at monitoring and testing your pH level every day and understand maybe some of the underlying reasons. Diet can be a factor, hormones can be a factor, our underwear, so making sure you're wearing breathable undies, those can all alter your pH. So if you're testing your pH, ideally, your vaginal pH should be between 3.8 and 4.5. That's the healthy pH range that is going to be the least odorous pH level. So testing pH is really helpful. It's highly beneficial for patients who aren't really quite sure what the cause is, whether it's hormonal, whether it's soaps, or even their feminine hygiene products, which check out this video I just posted a week or so ago that's really helpful for providing some really great feminine hygiene products to consider, soaps and things like that. So apart from pH and evaluating your levels, the next thing we need to focus on is your vaginal microbiota. And this is your vaginal microbiome, your healthy bacterial level. Any mucosal lining in our body has bacterial levels. And we need the right bacterial balance to achieve homeostasis, balance, low odor, healthy immune state, all those good things that we're looking for. Odors will usually reflect an imbalance. So what does that mean in terms of probiotics? There are certain types of probiotics that are more beneficial for women and the vaginal health than others. And I recommend Raw Probiotics. This is one of my favorite brands. This is an amazing blend of kefir-oriented cultured bacteria, as well as 3 types of enzymes that will help eradicate unhealthy bacteria, i.e. bacteria that is causing an odor. And you're also going to get very important vaginal health, vaginal wall supportive microbiome, and mucosal lining supplementation. So there's some herbals, there's a whole assortment of healthy probiotics that will target the vaginal microbiome. Now, your gut health is also really critical. So if you have an imbalanced gut health, it's not uncommon for there to be other mucosal imbalances, i.e. sinus infections or strep throat or throat irritations or gastrointestinal imbalances, SIBO. There'll be that connection systemically where our overall systemic microbiome is imbalanced. So it's not always a bad idea to have a baseline probiotic. I'll link my favorite one. This is a professional grade product by one of my favorite full microbiome focused lab that they really target some of the best balancing systemic probiotics and then layering this on top. But if you frequently have yeast infections or notice discharge, discoloration to the discharge, odor, smells, just are discomforted by your body's natural kind of cleansing process, then it's not a bad idea to look at a broad spectrum microbiome supportive probiotic plus a female feminine hygiene focused vaginal microbiota supportive probiotic. And that's what we get with the Raw Probiotics. So ladies, I'm curious, was this helpful for you? Are there any tips or takeaways that maybe you haven't heard before? And what other Lady Bits wellness tips, topics would you like to hear about further this year? I'm taking notes and creating my content calendar, and I want to make sure I'm delivering impactful information that's supportive to you and your health and wellness journey. So if you're curious about discharge colors, what does that mean? What times of the month should we be seeing kind of cyclical changes? You want me to talk further about the vaginal microbiome? I'd be happy to. So let me know, comment down below. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that follow button, and I'll see you on our next video within a few days. Have a great day.